Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Welcome to this morning's class. It's from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, chapter 5, and texts 11 through 14. We are fortunate this morning to have His Grace Vishnugada Prabhu from ISKCON, Philadelphia, to give the class. Hare Krishna, Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So we'll chant. I saw you had Paramakaruna there.
Yeah, it's pulled up if you want it.
Okay. Why would we chant Paramakaruna? Why would we do that?
For Chaitanya Charitamrita, we talk about, because Lord, it's about Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, two merciful lords.
I see. Oh, it's not
at least that's my understanding.
Because Srila Prabhupada chanted this.
Yes.
Before speaking on Chaitanya Charitamrita.
Yeah.
That's why. I mean, there are many prayers to Lord Chaitanya. You could say so many things. But this one is what Srila Prabhupada chanted. So usually, I mean, they might have chanted some other things, but this is the main one he chanted. So.
Okay. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Parama Karuna Prabhu Dvijana Nitai Gaurachandra
Parama Karuna Prabhu Dvijana Nitai Gaurachandra.
Oh, and if the devotees can, they are welcome to unmute themselves. So we can actually have it won't be just me and Parikshit Prabhu chanting back and forth to ourselves. So we could have some, this is fine, but if you don't mind, please unmute yourself if you're not at work or something like that. Parama Karuna Prabhu Dvijana Nitai Gaurachandra
Parama Karuna Nijana Nitai Gaurachandra.
Parama Karuna Prabhu Dvijana Nitai Gaurachandra
Parama Karuna Prabhu Dvijana Nitai Gaurachandra.
Prabhavatar Shad Shiramani Kevala Ananda Kanda
Shaba Avatar,
Shavatar, Shar Shiromani,
Shashiromani,
Keval Ananda
Kevalananda
Kanda.
Kanda.
Bhajo bhaj bhai Chaitanya Nitai Sudridha Vishas Kori.
Bhaja Bhaja
Bhaja
Bhai,
Bhai,
Chaitanya
Chaitanya Nitai,
Nitai,
Sudrida
Sudhira
Vishwasa Kori.
Vishaya Chadiya Terashe Majia Mukhe Bolo Hari Hari.
Vishaya
Vishaya Chadiya,
Chadiya, Tera
Seva Seva
Semajiya,
Jiya, Mukhe
Mukhe
Bolo
Bolo
Hari
Hari Hari.
Hari.
Dekha Ore Bhai Tribhuvane Nai Emono Doyalo Data.
Dekho
Dekho
Ore
re
Bhai,
bhai,
Tribhuvane
tribhuvane
Nai,
nai,
Emona
emona
Doyala
doyala
Data.
data.
Oshu Paki Jure Hashana Vidare Shuni Jar Gunagata.
Pashu
Pashupakhi
pakhi
Jare,
jure,
Pashana
pashana
Vidare,
vidare, shuni
Shuni
jana
Jana
guna gata.
Gunakata.
Samshare Majia Rohili Podia Shepode Nohilo Asha.
Sansare
Samsa
Majia,
majia, rohini
Rukili
poriya.
Puria,
Ipade
Sepade
nahi
Lahila
asha.
Asa.
Apana Koroma Bhunjaye Shamana Kahaye Lochandasha.
Apana
Apana
Karama,
karma gunjai
Punjaye
shamana
Shamana,
kahoe
Kahoe
lochana
Lochana
dasha.
Dasa.
Parama Karuna Pahu Dvijana Nitai Gaurachandra.
Parama
Parama
Kora
karuna pahudvija
Napahudvijana,
nitai
Itai
gora
Gora
chandra.
Chandra.
Parama Karuna Pahu Dvijana Nitai Gaurachandra.
Parama
Parama
Kora
karuna pahudvija
Pahudvijana,
nitai
Itai
gora
Gora
chandra.
Chandra.
Shabavatar Char Shiramani Kevala Ananda Kanda.
Shava Avatar,
Avatar
Shara
Shara Shiromani
Shiromani,
Kevala
Kevala
Ananda
Ananda
Kanda.
Kanda.
Jai Om Vishnu Pad Paramahansa Paribrajak Acharya Ashtotara Satashishi His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Yay,
Jai Om Vishnu Pad Paramahansa Paribrajak Acharya Ashtotara Satashishi His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai.
yay,
Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai.
yay,
ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
yay,
नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय।
yay,
प्रेम से कहा श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय।
yay,
श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंद राधा कुंद गिरी गोवर्धन की जय।
yay,
वृंदावन धाम की जय।
yay,
नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की जय।
yay,
गंगा माई की जय।
yay,
जमुना माई की जय।
yay,
तुलसी देवी की जय।
yay,
भक्ति देवी की जय।
yay,
समवेता भक्त वृंद की जय।
yay.
गौर प्रेमानंद।
Hari 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 Bo.
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glory to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Hari Hari Bol. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Shami Iti Namane. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirbishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Just taking a look back at that the bhajan we sang or the kirtan we sang. Yeah. Parama Karuna Pahudvijan Nitai Gaura Chandra. You understand that or the meaning of this one? Anybody?
The translation is right behind.
We're not going to look at the translation. You can look the words of Parama, is topmost, right?
Param, yes.
Parama is topmost. And Karuna is mercy.
Mercy.
Karuna Sindhu. Pahu. What do you think Pahu is? Anybody? Pahu.
Prabhu?
Yes. That's the in Bengali sometimes they say Pahu. It's kind of like, comes from Prabhu, but it's Pahu. Those who are the Prabhus? Dwi is two, John, these two lords. Who's that?
Mm.
Who's that? Nitai Gaura Chandra. Nitai Gaura Chandra, Lord Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya. Shab means all. See that S-A-B-A, that word? Now, usually in Sanskrit, if the S has a slash over it or a dot under it, it's different varieties of sh, like SH. But just for knowledge, in Bengali, Bengali people, all S's almost are SHs, practically, almost all. So even though there's no dot or slash over the S, if you're Bengali speakers, I'll say shab, and avatar, shad. Even though there's no, just like we say, it's really prasadam, but we say prashad. You ever heard of prashad? That's a Bengali.
Yes.
Yeah. So shab of all, avatar, shad. You know what shad is? Shad. For example, the Srimad Bhagavatam is Shruti Shad. The cream.
Topmost.
Cream's wow. You can make a lot of good stuff out of the cream, especially ghee instead of shad. And Shiramani. Anybody know Shiramani? Anybody practice yoga?
Mm.
Physical yoga, I mean.
Is it the crest jewel, Prabhu?
Yeah, and how is it the
crown
crest jewel? Money, we know the Shamantakamani. Money means jewel, and Shira means head. Just like if you're doing Ashtanga or different physical yoga, there's Shirshashan. You have a Shirshashan? Any idea what Shirshashan might be? Shirshashan. Any guesses?
The headstand, Prabhu.
Yeah, standing on your head.
Hmm.
Very good. Yeah, so standing on your head. So head jewel, or as you said, crest jewel, crown jewel, like that. And Kevala, entirely Ananda Kanda, because that's Lord Chaitanya's method of spiritual life is happily done. Anyway, just started. Okay, those are a couple of things. Most of the bhajans that we sing are in Bengali. Most. And of course, you can sing Bengali with a Sanskrit accent, I suppose. But it's actually Bengali. Lord Chaitanya also spoke Bengali, and then the Chaitanya Charitamrita, although it has lots of Sanskrit verses, it's primarily in Bengali also. So I don't know if we have any Bengali speakers here to do the verses. Sometimes it's nice to have the authentic Bengali sound when we hear the verses, because we get messed up sometimes. Anyway, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Some devotee told me we should chant Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya before Chaitanya Charitamrita. I said, okay. But then I checked back to see what Srila Prabhupada did. There's recordings of his giving class. And they chanted Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay. All right. It was good enough for him. It'll be good enough for me. There we got Chaitanya Charitamrita. Charitamrita. Yeah. Chaitanya Charitamrita. Adi Lila, 5th chapter. This is, the title of this chapter, anybody?
I forget. The external reasons or the
Lord
comprehensive
Nityananda
reasons?
Ram, isn't it? Okay. Do we have a Bengali speakers here? Anybody? We have 14 people. Wow. Nice group. Oh, and thank you for those of you who unmuted yourself during the chant, the prayer of Paramakar. It was very nice to hear everybody chanting. We get so few opportunities to chant, and even though it's a little disjointed on the Zoom call, because there's different people in different places, doesn't all come in at the same time. Still, sometimes a blind uncle is better than no uncle. Have you ever heard of that one? Of course, it might not be so nicely said nowadays. People don't appreciate saying blind. Visually challenged uncle is better than no uncle. But Lord Srila Prabhupada you'll see later in Chaitanya Charitamrita, he describes that when Lord Chaitanya went to Advaita Acharya's house just after taking sannyas, every day he stayed there before going to Puri. They were having every day for 3 hours in the evening, or in the evening, there would be feasting, and then 3 hours chanting of the holy names. 3 hours. And Srila Prabhupada in the purport says that, we should institute that in all the temples of ISKCON. 3 hours chanting in the evening, every day, he says. Okay. But we don't do that so much. Well, here we are in the Zoom environment. So at least for the few minutes that we're in Zoom, we can have a call and response to kirtan, if that makes sense. Does that make sense at all?
Yeah.
And even though it's a little disjointed, like I said, a blind uncle is better than no uncle. We have such little bit of kirtan, and that's the thing that's supposed to elevate us and purify our hearts and make us do and be the prime service to Krishna. Okay. So anybody Bengali speakers? I didn't hear any yays. No?
No.
Okay. So I have to do it. What about Nitya Gopal Prabhu? Are you there?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Yes, but I don't have Bengali accent, Prabhu.
All right. You can't put it in. Okay. I'll chant it. Sharva Rupe Ashadaye Krishna Sevanam She Balaram Gaur Shange Nityanand. Translation. In all the forms, he tastes the transcendental bliss of serving Krishna. That same Balaram is Lord Nityananda, the companion of Lord Gaurasundara. Shaptam Shloker Artha Kari Chari Shloke Jati Nityananda Tatta Jane Sarvaloke. I have explained the 7th verse in 4 subsequent verses. By these verses, all the world can know the truth about Lord Nityananda. Well, I guess these are the ones we're doing now. Yeah. These are the ones. And I believe this is Sanskrit, isn't it? Yeah. Maya Tite Vyapi Vaikuntaloke Punaishvarye Shri Chaturvyuha Madhye Rupam Yashodbhati Sankarshanakyam Tam Shri Nityananda Ramam Prapadye. I surrender unto the lotus feet of Sri Nityananda Ram, who is known as Sankarshan in the midst of the Chaturvyuha, consisting of Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. He possesses full opulences and resides in Vaikuntaloka, far beyond the material creation. Purport. This is a verse from Sri Swarup Damodar Goswami's diary. It appears as the 8th of the first 14 verses of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Prakritira Paravyoma Nama Dham Krishna Vigraha Jaiche Vibhati Adi Gunavan. Beyond the material nature lies the realm known as Paravyom, the spiritual sky. Like Lord Krishna himself, it possesses all transcendental attributes, such as the 6 opulences. Report. According to the Sankhya philosophy, the material cosmos is composed of 24 elements. What are those? The 5 gross material elements, the 3 subtle material elements, the 5 knowledge acquiring senses, the 5 active senses, the 5 objects of sense pleasure, and the Mahatattva, the total material energy. Empiric philosophers, unable to go beyond these elements, speculate that anything beyond them must be avyakta, or inexplicable. But the world beyond the 24 elements is not inexplicable. Or it is explained in the Bhagavad Gita as the eternal Sanatan nature, beyond the manifested and unmanifested existence of material nature. Vyakta Vyakta, Vyakta Vyakta, is the Sanatan nature, which is called the Paravyom, or the spiritual sky. Since that nature is spiritual in quality, there are no qualitative differences there. Everything there is spiritual. Everything is good. Everything possesses the spiritual form of Sri Krishna himself. That spiritual sky is the manifested internal potency of Sri Krishna. It is distinct from the material sky manifested by his external potency. The all-pervading Brahman, composed of the impersonal glowing rays of Sri Krishna, exists in the spiritual world with the Vaikuntha planets. We can get some idea of that spiritual sky by a comparison to the material sky. Or the rays of the sun in the material sky can be compared to the Brahmajyoti, the glowing rays of the personality of Godhead. In the Brahmajyoti, there are unlimited Vaikuntha planets, which are spiritual and therefore self-luminous, with a glow many times greater than that of the sun. The personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, his innumerable plenary portions, and the portions of his plenary portions dominate each Vaikuntha planet. In the highest region of the spiritual sky is the planet called Krishna Loka, which has 3 divisions, namely Dvaraka, Mathura, and Goloka or Gokul. To a gross materialist, this kingdom of God, Vaikuntha, is certainly a mystery. But to an ignorant man, everything is a mystery for one of sufficient knowledge. The kingdom of God is not a myth. Even the material planets, which float over our heads in the millions and billions, are still a mystery to the ignorant. Material scientists are now attempting to penetrate this mystery, and a day may come when the people of this earth will be able to travel to outer space and see the variegatedness of these millions of planets with their own eyes. In every planet, there is as much material variegatedness as we find in our planet. The planet Earth is but an insignificant spot in the cosmic structure. Yet, foolish men, puffed up by a false sense of scientific advancement, have concentrated their energy in the pursuit of so-called economic development on this planet, not knowing of the variegated economic facilities available on other planets. According to modern astronomy, the gravity of the moon is different than from that of Earth. Therefore, one who goes to the moon will be able to pick up large weights and jump vast distances. In the Ramayana, Hanuman is described as being able to lift huge weights as heavy as hills and jump over the ocean. Modern astronomy has confirmed that this is indeed possible. The disease of modern civilized man is his disbelief of everything in the revealed scriptures. Faithless non-believers cannot make progress in spiritual realization, for they cannot understand the spiritual potency. The small fruit of a banyan contains hundreds of seeds, and in each seed is the potency to produce another banyan tree with the potency to produce millions more of such fruits. This law of nature is visible before us, although how it works is beyond our understanding. This is but an insignificant example of the potency of Godhead. There are many similar phenomena that no scientist can explain. Listen to this. Everything, in fact, is inconceivable. For the truth is revealed only to the proper persons. Although there are varieties of personalities, from Brahma down to the insignificant ant, all of whom are living beings, their development of knowledge is different. Therefore, we have to gather knowledge from the right source. Indeed, in reality, we can get knowledge only from the Vedic sources. The four Vedas, their supplementary Puranas, the Mahabharata, the Ramayana, and their corollaries, which are known as Smritis, are all authorized sources of knowledge. If we are at all to gather knowledge, we must gather it from these sources without hesitation. Revealed knowledge may in the beginning be unbelievable. Revealed knowledge may in the beginning be unbelievable because of our paradoxical desire to verify everything with our tiny brains. But the speculative means of attaining knowledge is always imperfect. The perfect knowledge propounded in the revealed scriptures is confirmed by the great acharyas, who have left ample commentations upon them. None of these acharyas has disbelieved in the Shastras. One who disbelieves in the Shastra is an atheist, and we should not consult an atheist, however great he may be. A staunch believer in the Shastras, with all their diversities, is the right person from whom to gather real knowledge. Such knowledge may seem inconceivable in the beginning, but when put forward by the proper authority, its meaning is revealed. And then one no longer has any doubts about it. Om Agyana Timirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Nama Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Shayam Rupakata Maikam Dadati Shapandantikam Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyev cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Before speaking, I'd like to ask permissions and blessings from all devotees, particularly those who are senior by age and advancement in Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So let's look at the translation again. You can just
From the
move
beginning?
Yeah, right there. And we'll look to beyond the material nature lies the realm known as Paravyom, the spiritual sky. Like Lord Krishna himself, it possesses all transcendental attributes such as the six opulences. So Srila Prabhupada explains in the first paragraph of the purport, he describes the different elements of material creation as 24, as recognized and meditated upon by the Sankhya philosophers. 24 elements. And those are the 5 gross elements. Which are they? The 5 gross elements.
Earth, water, fire, air, and ether.
Okay. In one treatise, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur translated it: solids, liquids, radiant energy, gases. The same point. Earth, water, fire. And then the subtle elements, Nitya Gopal.
Mind, intelligence, false ego.
Yeah. Not ego in general, but false ego, because false ego is the misconception. That's a material element, right? Then there's the 5 knowledge acquiring senses, which are all part of the material. Your sight, what else? Sight, hearing, taste, touch, smell, isn't it?
Yeah.
The 5 working senses. Here it says, Prabhupada says active senses. You know the 5 active senses or working senses?
Limbs, hands, legs.
Hands and legs, anything else?
Genitals, mouth,
Yeah, the tongue, belly, genital. Yeah.
Rectum and genitals.
Then the 5 objects, sense objects. So that's, we have eyes. The eyes are knowledge acquiring. And then there's you have to see. There's a sense object. So each of the sense, the knowledge acquiring senses has a concomitant sense object that has to, and then beyond that, there's the Mahatattva. This is all within the realm of the material universe. And so here, Lord Krishna is explaining, Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami is explaining about Lord Nityananda being his realm is the spiritual sky, or called Paravyom, or we call it the spiritual sky. And this spiritual sky is hinted at a few places in the Bhagavad Gita. You might know this, any verses from the Bhagavad Gita that it's not elaborately described in the spirit in the Bhagavad Gita, but it's briefly mentioned. Anybody know some verses from Bhagavad Gita where the Paravyoma is mentioned?
In chapter 15, it's talked about briefly.
What is that? What is that?
Beyond this material is the spiritual, and the person that goes there never returns to the material world. That's mentioned in the 15th chapter. I forget exactly the text, but it is mentioned there.
Natat bhasyate suryo na shashanko na pavaka yad gadva na nivartante tadhama paramam mama, right? That supreme abode of mine is not illumined by sun or moon or fire nor electricity, and when it goes there, it doesn't come back, right? This is consistent with the Vedic. We hear the Vedic aphorism also, especially people from the Hindu background, they resonate with this one. Asato ma sadgamaya. You know this? Tamasi ma jyoti gama. Mrityo ma amrita gamaya. Yeah. These things. So that spiritual world is self-effulgent. Everything is bright. Here we have the daytime and the nighttime, and sometimes we like to stay in the dark anyway, even if it's daytime, because the symptom of ignorance is darkness. But in the spiritual world, mentions here that it's many, many times brighter. And that brightness, there's a brightness to one's personality and to one's thoughts. That's and the brightness is concomitant with spiritual understanding. Just like in the Isha Upanishad, the devotee prays, Hiranmayena patrena satyasya pihitam mukam tattvam pushana parvanu satya dharmaya drishtaye. He says, Oh my Lord, your real face is covered by your dazzling effulgence. Please remove that effulgence so that I can see your form of bliss. So that brightness of the spiritual sky is emphasized there. And because it's beyond this material world, its characteristics are quite attractive to us living entities. Just like sometimes people want to go on a vacation and they have vacation brochures that describe all the details and the accommodations and the activities in the vacation spot. So usually you don't want to go to a vacation spot if there's bad weather, isn't it? Maybe you went and there was bad weather. And there's not a lot of crime there. And, you know, you have good accommodations there and the people are nice, that kind of thing. So the accommodations, the environment, the association, and the spiritual realm is all wonderful. And we can go there. You can go there. That's the description being mentioned here. There is a spiritual world. It's not just a legend. You know, in different cultures, they have different ideas of some kind of Shangri-La, you know, or Elysian fields or heaven. But the Vedic scriptures give a relatively detailed description of that place where Krishna and his associates and his expansions reside in the Vaikuntha planets. One is it's self-effulgent. Parastasmat vyavonyo vyakto vyaktat sanatana. And it is eternal. When all in this world is destroyed, that place remains as it is. Sometimes it's said that the demigods are sometimes described as Amara. Have you ever heard this before? Amara. Even in the Greek and the Roman cultures, they think that they think of the demigods are they don't die. But actually, the meaning of Amara in that case is they just have such long lives compared to us. They're practically deathless, but they're not deathless. Everybody in this universe dies, even Lord Brahma, from the topmost planet to the bottom. Everybody in this universe dies. But human life is meant for going back to our original condition, which is eternal, full of bliss and knowledge. And there's a place where that eternality, blissfulness, and knowledge remains. It is the predominant environment. And we're meant to go there. And we can do that by practice of devotional service and chanting, regular chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Anybody want to go to the spiritual world? Back to Godhead? Anybody?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. I was just wondering. It's a wonderful destination, I've heard. And it's mentioned here briefly in the, like we cited verses from Bhagavad Gita, Natad Bhasyate Suryo. And then there's Prastasmatu Bhavyana. Whenever everything in this world is is destroyed, that place remains as it is. Because in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna describes that the life of Brahma being the longest living personality in the universe, but every day ends and his night comes and everything in this universe is destroyed after 4,300,000,000 years. And then for that many years, his night is there. Everything is unmanifest. And then he wakes again and creates. So, and then back and forth it goes, back and forth. But, you know, if you're going to make an investment, you want to see that your investment lasts. So invest in a lasting condition that will go on forever, back to Godhead. So this is talking about the spirit. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I thought to ask a question in the middle of this because you yourself sometimes allow
Yeah, no
question and
problem. I have
answers in the middle.
no problem.
You are asking, would you like to go back to Godhead? And how it's wonderfully described. And the answer was yes. But then it immediately when a question came to my mind. We may want to go, but we've got to be cleaned of these unwanted desires in the material world. And we understand that they're not a nativity. How come many devotees don't take an nativity so seriously? It's like they sit on it and on and on and on, and it doesn't seem to matter so much. That is the trend that I've seen in quite a few temples. And how can that be overturned? Because with anatas, to that extent,
I
why
can't
do
tell
people?
you what other people do. I can't tell you about other people, but you know, the realm of Maya is very strong. And our delusion usually is that we're more advanced spiritually than we really are.
Mm-hmm.
For everybody, this temple or that temple, doesn't matter. Every one of us. So that's why Lord Chaitanya, he said, Trinadapi sunichena tarorapi sahishnuna amanina manadena kirtaniya sadahari. That one can, one is lower than the blade of grass. Trina is lower than the blade of grass, more tolerant than the tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and then not looking for respect for himself or herself, and ready to offer respects to others, all respects. In such a condition, one can go on chanting. Otherwise, then the converse of that is, well, at some point you're going to stop chanting, isn't it? Yeah. So what does that mean? That humility means is that we need to take an inventory of our practices of Krishna consciousness to see how we're improving or trying to improve. You know, they have these things in corporate culture about continuing improvement of the system, to make a healthy corporate environment. At least that's what they say. Of course, for us, that means continuously associating and evaluating how are we applying the principles of Krishna consciousness, and not just ourselves, but we can ask other people, what can we do for improving? What is there for? And we may be surprised that of things, you know, because there's some things that we might be able to see ourselves, but sometimes we can't see, you know, something that's obvious to another person we can't see. So that's called Guya Makyati Prichtiti. Guya Makyati Prichtiti means inquiring confidentially. We don't want to broadcast all over the world how foolish we are. But, you know, we can take somebody that we trust, someone who's, you know, we have has integrity, and may be able to give us some pointers about ways to improve. We can approach that person. So why is it? It's, you know, the wonderful thing in this material world is the people who get out. Most of us don't. So, okay, go ahead. You had further question on that?
No, I think although you said that this is an individual thing, but I really appreciate the way you answered this question because of talking about even approaching someone to talk about maybe faults that are there because they have a perception that we may not have. That's it takes humility to do that, and that's
Yeah,
thank
we
you
don't
for
know. We
bringing that
generally don't
point
want to
in.
do that. You're opening yourself up to
Yeah.
you're opening yourself up to
But
criticism, and
at some
yeah.
point where there's even discussion that is open, that can be open, and somebody initiates the discussion, but the other person doesn't want to do it.
Yeah.
And so they just want to like hang on to their anatas when it's so obvious. They still want to do, and it's sad. But personally, I think if that's the case, then it's like, do they really want to go back to Godhead? Because you can't take all these anatas to Godhead. And
Yeah.
that's why when you ask the question, what is it, do you like to go? You say, yeah, but then prepare to go then. These things are important. That's why I asked the question.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for bringing it up.
So after that verse, then Lord Chaitanya says, Na dharam, na janam, na sundarim, kavitam va jagadisha kamaye, mama janamani janamani share, bhavatad bhakti rahaiti kitve. That is going back to Godhead. It's not that I want to accumulate wealth. I want to have a bunch of people who are yes people. You know this word, a yes man? I guess there's yes women too, perhaps. I don't know.
Yeah.
But they get a yes man. In India, they call it a chamchagiri. Chamchagiri. That means, you know this word, Nitya Gopal Prabhu?
Yes,
Yes,
Prabhu.
Prabhu. Yes.
Yeah, so we just want people who are gonna go along with us, whatever we say. Oh, yes, yes. And Chamchagiri. And then we don't want any attractive partners, not, wonderful, attractive partners, but we would just like to do devotional service. That's our hope to do. And within this material world, there's followers and there's leaders, and both uh, groups have pitfalls that they follow into. Sometimes in leaders, there's something in the material world called the iron law of oligarchy. Have you ever heard of this? Have you heard that? This is a very interesting sociological concept. There was a guy named Michaels who wrote in the early part of the 20th century, and he said that anytime there's leaders in human society, four things inexorably take place. Number one, they suppress or consolidate their position by suppressing anybody who slightly has a different view from themselves or might be seen as a threat. First step. Second step is that they surround themselves with yes men and women. Yes men and women, chamchagiris. Yeah. Third step is they take their position for sense gratification and then use it for their aggrandizement, and then they get completely cut off from reality. And he said these four stages, and we could take it, these four stages are just like the effects of Maya. This is how Maya works. Maya works. He said that they're true. They take place even for the saints or sinners, doesn't matter, they take place. So, yeah, the iron law of oligarchy. So then, so I wrote an essay on this about how Srila Prabhupada, he was the leader of the Hare Krishna movement, and no, in questioning leader, but when he incorporated ISKCON, was he on the incorporation papers? No, he didn't.
No.
He wasn't on the when they made the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust. Was he on it? Was he one of the trustees? No. He usually allowed others to do, gave control. I mean, he gave his spiritual directions, and ultimately he was in charge. But see, he gave so much leeway to others. So he when he went to Bhubaneswar, some of you have been to Bhubaneswar, not far from Puri. He was at that time. It was 1977, and he was, the world acharya. That time there were 100 temples, devotees all, and he went to Bhubaneswar, and there was the property was just a field, far away from the city. Now it's in the middle of the city, but at that time, the property, and there was not even a house. It was just three sides of brick wall with no roof and no sanitary facilities. And as Srila Prabhupada mentioned, he prefers this location. He likes this location better than the big buildings. So not using things for sense gratification. And he would meet all kinds of people. That was interesting. Srila Prabhupada would meet, people from all different varieties of backgrounds, religion, science, etc., to preach Krishna consciousness. So he's ready to meet everybody. Anyway, so these different things, there are different kinds of Maya that happen for all of us, and it's a little tricky. This dear Krishna says, "Is this a question? Maybe it's at work."
He has it in the chat.
Yeah.
I can read
How
it.
can we focus on continuously improving ourselves, as you mentioned? Yeah, rather than focusing too much on others' faults. Well, yeah, good. That means I got to do that too, right? Okay. That's a hard thing. It's a hard thing. Well, first it starts with how are we gonna improve our chanting? That's the first thing. Because if we were chanting properly, if we were chanting nicely, then we'd be having ecstatic love of Krishna at every moment. Lord Chaitanya said, what I don't have any love for Krishna, otherwise how am I living? He's giving his example. Lord Chaitanya is Krishna in the mood, like we were talking yesterday about Srimati Radharani, in the mood of and sentiment and complexion of Srimati Radharani. So he's giving his example. Oh, if I had any love for Krishna, then I couldn't be existing. So that means my chanting is offensive in some way, it's defective in some way. So that's an important part for all of us, not improving our chanting. Are we following carefully the regular strictures? Like, we say Cheto Darpana Marjanam. Cheto Darpana Marjanam means it cleanses the mind. What does it cleanse the mind from? Those things that are imperfect and an artist that's supposed to happen. So are we chanting? Are we chanting? And are we not only japa, but kirtan as well? Ooh, kirtan. Kirtan is also sadhana. Sadhana. Do we have enough? So, I mean, just like when you take a medicine, the medicine on the bottle says, take it twice daily. Take one pill twice daily as meals or something. So, are we taking the meals? Are we taking the medicine? Kirtaniya sadahari. Are we taking the medicine? So these are things we have to consider for ourselves. Let's make sure that we're doing these things. It's very interesting when this is ISKCON history. ISKCON history is at a certain point in 1976. Did I talk about this here? I don't know if I talked about it here. Did I talk about it? In 1976, there was a big conflict between different devotees in ISKCON. There were the sannyasis who, specific sannyasis who had started the Radha Damodar party. Did I talk about this? No, maybe not. Did anybody?
I don't remember.
Okay. Anyway, there were sannyasis who had started the Radha Damodar party, and there were others too that were traveling through. They had buses, and it was distributing lots and lots of books, and but they'd go to temples, and they'd say in the temples, anybody who's staying in a temple, you're living in Maya. You should come with us. You can live in, the brahmacharis and the brahmacharinis will get together. You're just going to you're going to get married in a few weeks, a month. So it is in Maya. Come with us. We'll be, yeah. So anyway, the whole thing of that. So many of the temples were becoming emptied out of devotees. 1976, and so they couldn't do their regular functions. They were having a hard time, doing the offerings for the deities and stuff like that. So it came to Srila Prabhupada in 1976, the Mayapur festival. And there's a nice description of this by Hari Sari Prabhu in his book, in his memories book. He was the Prabhupada servant at that time. So the temple presidents went to Srila Prabhupada and complained that this is happening, And then the sannyasis went to Srila Prabhupada and said, well, these people are they're just materially attached to their positions and stuff like that. We can't support this people. So Prabhupada commented very strongly. He said, in this material world, nothing is doing very well. Unless we regularly chant the Hare Krishna mantra, to have regular Sankirtan, It's gonna this I'll criticize you, you'll criticize me. It'll go on forever. What is this? There's another thing.
Yeah, Radical Peace put a question asking that you elaborate more on the chanting, because we started talking about it. So he
Okay.
wanted more information
Yeah,
on
okay. So then
sadhana.
yeah. That'll do that. So I don't know if you get that. So then Srila Prabhupada was emphasizing again and again. Yeah, chanting without chanting Hare Krishna, everything's going to be. Well, you'll find fault with me. I'll find with you. Usually, one person they think, oh, that's the other person's at fault, and the other person thinks I'm at fault, and then nothing. Everybody splits up and stuff like that. So he was emphasizing again and again, whoever you are, brahmachari, grihastha, vanaprastha, sannyasi, inside the temple, outside the temple, without the regular chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra, everything is going to be messy. It's going to be messy, fault finding, like that. That's what he said. And that's what Lord Chaitanya said also. Even though that happened, Srila Prabhupada took what the temple presidents were complaining about, and he asked one of the sannyasis who was heading the Radha Damodar party what was going on. And he kind of admitted, yes, that was going on, that he was kind of raiding the temples of devotees. And so he said, but Srila Prabhupada, so what should I do? You want me to go to China? Kind of laughingly or facetiously saying. So Prabhupada next day called him into his room after Mangalarti. He said, yes, you said yesterday you mentioned going to China. You know this?
Yeah, I know of it, but you're talking about it because you
so he called and so he said he was in charge of Radhadam. You can imagine thousands of books going out every day from this, and so many things, money, Lakshmi going to the BP, and he sent the head of the Radha Damodar party to preach in China. Just took him off, and he said, "I can't. Who's going to be in charge of?" So he was so concerned. He was so concerned at the integrity and the cooperation within ISKCON that he did that. He and shortly, not too long after that, the Radha Damodar party dissolved, actually. But his emphasis, even though that happened, his emphasis was primarily on the chanting. So of the two, sadhana and service, how do you get a balance? Well, we have a vow of those who are initiated that we're going to chant 16 rounds every day, and that's unbreakable. Certain things are unbreakable. Lord Chaitanya says there are no hard and fast rules for chanting. Have you heard this? No hard and fast rules for chanting the holy name. What does that mean? Well, I don't have to chant 16 rounds today. No, that's not what it means. Depending on your level of commitment. Yeah. Somebody who's initially coming, they can chant 1 round. But there are guidelines, there are rules, but they're not hard and fast for every single person. Yeah. So the first thing, that's the bedrock principle for everybody. And I don't know if you've read the book, I'll Build You a Temple. I think that is by Giriraj Swami. Some very, very practical things he writes in that book. I appreciate very much my senior godbrother, Giriraj Swami. So he says, when they were starting the Bombay temple, he and Tamal Krishna Maharaj would be going out regularly every day to, make life members and collect Lakshmi to build that temple. And Tamal Krishna Maharaj was quite a stickler. He wanted to go out right away, blah, blah. And but Giriraj Maharaj was a little bit not quite as active in that way. So he made it his rule that, even though he was being pushed by Tamal Krishna Maharaj, he wouldn't go out to collect unless he had completed at least 12 rounds. You follow?
Yeah.
Yeah. And he made that as his rule. And it served him well. He said, because, 12 rounds is almost 16 rounds, so you can practically do it. You can squeeze in those other runs. So the balance, how do you know the balance? I don't know. Devotees might have, how do you know the balance? There were devotees who Srila Prabhupada said, don't worry about any service, just chant Hare Krishna all day. Did you know that?
Yeah.
There was one devotee named Bhakti Jana.
Yeah.
Bhakti Jana. The Rabbi said, don't worry, just chant Hare Krishna all day. Chant. If you have to, chant 64 rounds, he said. Because that is service. That is service. When you're talking about service usually think, oh, my hands and feet, what do I do? Service is, this is service. Chanting the holy names is service. So other kinds of service. Maybe you'd like to say something about that, other devotees. I'm not coming up with other thoughts on this right now. What do you think?
What I've heard is, and I heard that when we chant and chant attentively, it really helps in our quality of other devotion service activities that we do. And also, if we do activities with real sincerity, then it also helps our chanting. So what I heard is that they go hand in hand. That's what I've heard.
Yeah, sure. I mean, chanting Hare Krishna means we're asking Krishna, please engage me in your service, right? Please engage me in your service. And so then you get some service and say, I don't want to do it. You know, we're talking about the Paravyoma. Paravyoma, you'd like to go there? Or you'd like to get a ticket to go to the Paravyoma? What's the ticket? You know what the ticket is? The price of admission? Lolyam, lalasamai, enthusiasm. Enthusiasm. What is the enthusiasm? To do devotional service. Yeah. And that devotional service begins with chanting, hearing and chanting. Srila Prabhupada gave the example of enthusiasm, you know, and he was talking about this utsahan, enthusiasm. So he gave the example. So I came to your country at an advanced age. That's utsahan. That's enthusiasm. Yeah. So, you know, different people have different capacities also for service. I've seen it many times. You know, we know the story of Ramchandra building the bridge and Hanuman and sometimes it's a spider, sometimes it's a squirrel. You know, different people have different capacities sometimes to do service. But whatever service can be done, whatever service is done, that is wonderful. What Chaitanya said, Je bhaje, she boro, abhaktahin char, Krishna bhajana nahi jati kuladi bichar. So whoever is doing service, they're great. Service to Krishna, that's good. They're great. Abhaktahin char. So to appreciate even the little service that somebody does is a quality of a great person. You know, when Srila Prabhupada was, you know, just shortly before his passing, you know, he had people would give him rings. So he had a ring and he was in just a few days before he passed away, he took the ring off. You know this? He took the ring off and he said, here, please. You know what he said? Anybody?
No, I don't know.
He said, give this to George. He said, give it to George. Do you know that? George Harrison. So give it
Yeah, George Harrison. I remember that pastime.
Yeah. So I mean, he was so recognizing the service that's been done, that was done, even a little, you know, I mean, he did lots of service. But for example, for me, when I was a new devotee, I washed Srila Prabhupada's pots and he noticed it. He was very happy. He was pleased I was able to wash his pot nicely. He didn't tell me directly, but I heard it secondhand from others because his pot was all black. He had these 3-tiered cookers. I was a new devotee. That's people said, told me, be careful. You might not, you know, on some pots like woks, you don't want to scrub them because you keep the black on, right? So I didn't know. Should I scrub it or not? Okay, but I said, I'll scrub it. I scrubbed it. The Prabhupada was so on one hand, appreciating the service that's being done is really important. Lord Chaitanya and Srila Prabhupada did that. And the other side, from our side, we're thinking, how can I increase our service? if we can. We have to increase it, but not at the expense of chanting rounds or offending people or like that. I don't know. There's so many things in ISKCON. There's so many things in ISKCON that I could reply to. There was a time in ISKCON when in New York, um, yeah, you might have gathered that I worked in the kitchen a lot when I was that was, I liked it in the kitchen. You know why? Because it was warm in the kitchen. You didn't have any heat. That was one reason. But and sometimes you get a little Mahaprashadam. I wasn't in charge at the beginning, but anyway. Why am I saying that? I don't know. Why am I saying that? Oh, I know. Because for a certain period of time, maybe 2, 3 years, we had a whole kitchen crew, a lot of devotees, working, and it was like unbelievable working together, making nice offerings for Krishna, doing the Sunday feast. We had other services every day. We'd go out on the Harinam party, even though we worked in the kitchen every day. But at a certain point, there was a influx of an idea that you should just keep one person in the kitchen, and he'll do all that. He or she will do all the work, and everybody else should go on and Sankirtan. Do you know this?
Mm.
It came from a certain group of people, and so before it was there was a dynamic energy going on, but then one person there, and then they stay for 3 months and they get burned out, and then you get another person, they stay for 3 months and they get burned out. That's what happened. So in the name of increasing devotional service, the devotional atmosphere was disturbed. Do you follow?
Mm.
When I was a new devotee, we used to have there was a morning program and an evening program, and it was like everybody attended, every single person in the temple attended. So at a certain point, they said, "Well, we don't need the evening program anymore. We'll give." But the devotional atmosphere degenerated, actually, because of that. So, it's not a question. They give the example of the Krishna conscious sandwich.
Yeah.
The sandwich is, you got morning and evening devotional sadhana activities, and in the middle there's your other activities, your regular services. Krishna conscious sandwich. All are important. All are important. There's the Bhagavad Vidhi and the Pancharatriki Vidhi. They're both like two rails. They have to be both maintained. If one is given too much emphasis, then the train goes off the road, and without, if one rail is messed up.
Mm.
Anyway, just some thoughts. Maybe somebody else has better thoughts on this.
Thank you very much for giving your thoughts, and because this opens up and we hear more about ISKCON, what happened, and the lessons that
We have so many. We could
learned
talk forever
from.
on this topic. We could talk forever on this topic.
Yeah.
There's so many things. During Srila Prabhupada's time, after Srila Prabhupada's time, so many things. Hopefully we can learn from past. Unfortunately, in modern society and stuff, they, one thing is we try to get rid of history so that people are free to do whatever they want and not learn. Like nowadays, of course, you've heard in the secular world that they want to stop teaching about the slavery and all that stuff. Oh, okay. As if there was no prejudice and stuff like that. Well, guess what? In in the world, there's lots of problems that come up from misguided religious activities, and even in ISKCON, things have happened. Can we learn from those things? Hopefully, we can, but we can't just avoid talking about them. So, anyway, I could have lots of talks about that someday.
Mm.
Someday. I joined the Hare Krishna movement in 1971, man. 1971. I was like,
It's a long time.
la. So that was before, 1971 was before people were chanting Nitai Gaur Hari Bol in kirtans. Did you know that? Did you know that? And that was before there was a stop and start in kirtans. You know the stop and start? You know, that's nobody did that. That was all later introduced. That was all before. So before, in that time, there wasn't a discrimination against women Vaishnavas or Vaishnavis. There wasn't. There's a picture you can look in an early Bhakti-Guided magazine in 1971 of Srila Prabhupada in Henry Street, New York. And sitting in his Vyasa-san, and you got all these sannyasis, and they're mixed in the sannyasis. There's ladies right in front of his Vyasa-san. In fact, one is Mother Daivi Shakti. Of course, later that wasn't possible. At a certain point, they moved ladies to the back, and then all kinds of things happened. But we used to call the ladies Prabhu. You know that? Do you know that?
Mentioned it the other day. Yeah, it's Mataji's thing that's come later, but it was
Yeah.
first
But
we were
anyway,
talking.
these things. When they became Matajis, then we put them in the back. We put him in the back. Well, you put your mom in the back. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, there's so many things like that that we might learn from, perhaps, or may not. But it's something to think about how we can improve our services. Be respectful to even an aunt. What to speak of God brothers, God sisters. Those people are trying to be advanced into Krishna consciousness. It's a very wonderful people. Anybody. Jai Bhaje Shebaro. That person is who's wonderful, who's doing service. That's wonderful. That's what's wonderful. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Guru.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any last questions? People want to, because we're passing hours.
You know what I wanted to do? I got distracted. I wanted to read the Easy Journey to Other Planets.
Oh,
Because of the Paravyoma. Because I got it pulled up here anyway. I sent it to Mother Anasu. But it's really an amazing. Even if you read the first five pages, it's amazing how Prabhupada describes this, the spiritual world in terms of the Bhagavad Gita and in terms of modern science. It's revolutionary. The revolutionary stuff. Yeah. If you get a chance today, because this verse was on the Paravyoma, which is those planets in the spiritual world where the easy journey to other planets ultimately would go. Take a moment to read a few pages from the Easy Journey to Other Planets. It's not on the Veda base. I couldn't find it on the Veda base unless you have the paid Veda base. I don't have the paid Veda base, but you can find it. If you search Easy Journey to Other Planets PDF, you'll find different copies of it available. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Next time, if you want, sorry.
Yeah.
Next time, I do have the paid one, so maybe we're finishing. Well, next time, if we need something that is from the paid one, let me know. I'll pull it out because it's on my computer.
Okay.
Just to let you know that.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya natapatitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Okay.
Thank you. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Right. Thank you, the Woodies, for coming on today here. Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.